Mechanics won't tell you this, but they definitely don't want you watching this video. Buried in every repair bill are 12 secrets that could save you hundreds, like why $20 chain lube is just cheap gear oil in a fancy can, or how a $5 fix can outsmart a $400 fork seal replacement. Every must-have product and urgent shop job hides a profit trick designed to keep you coming back. But the real shock, most riders pay triple for basics they could handle in minutes, just by knowing what questions to ask. So what else are you being charged for that you could do better and safer, all on your own? Secret number 12. Mechanics won't tell you this, but every time you buy a $20 can of chain lube, you're paying for a label, not better protection. Walk into any bike shop and you'll see shelf after shelf of sprays, promising ceramic coatings, race-bred polymers, or miracle mileage. Here's the reality. Basic 80 weight or 90 weight gear oil does the same job, sometimes better, at a fraction of the price. Gear oil is designed for high-pressure gears spinning at thousands of RPM. It's thick enough to stay put, thin enough to seep into every link, and loaded with anti-wear additives. Most motorcycle chains today are O-ring or X-ring types, which means the critical grease is sealed inside the chain from the factory. The only job of external lube is to keep the O-ring supple and the outside from rusting. Fancy sprays don't do this any better than gear oil. A quart of gear oil costs $8 and will last most riders an entire season. Compare that to a $20 can of chain lube that's gone in 5 applications. Pour a little gear oil into a squeeze bottle, brush it onto the chain, wipe off the excess with a rag. No sticky residue, no overspray on your tire, no premium markup. Chain manufacturers like DID and RK recommend only O-ring safe lubricants and warn against aggressive solvents. But gear oil fits the bill. Just avoid overdoing it. Independent wear tests have shown that gear oil matches or beats most branded chain lubes in friction reduction and rust prevention. The only real downside is a bit more fling off, which is solved with a quick wipe after each ride. Unless you're racing or riding in extreme mud, you won't notice any difference in chain life or performance. The big difference is in your wallet. Over a year, most riders spend $100 or more on spray lubes. With gear oil, you'll spend less than $20. Mechanics won't tell you this, but they definitely don't want you showing up with a well-lubed chain and no need for an upsell. So next time you see those flashy cans lined up at the counter, remember, the real secret is in the gear oil aisle. Your chain and your bank account will thank you. Mechanics won't tell you this, but every time you grab a bottle of motorcycle branded cleaner, you're paying double for the same stuff you'll find in the auto aisle. The secret? Most so-called motorcycle-specific wash products are just rebadged car or household cleaners with a splashier label and a bigger price tag. Take a close look at the ingredients list. Almost every major bike cleaner uses a pH-neutral base, mild surfactants, and water. Compare that to a standard car wash or even a gentle all-purpose cleaner, and you'll spot near identical formulas. The difference? The motorcycle bottle costs $12, the car wash jug goes for $5 and lasts twice as long. Here's what mechanics won't mention. The motorcycle safe claim is mostly marketing. Unless a cleaner contains harsh acids or strong solvents, it's not going to damage your paint, plastics, or seals. Most bikes are built to handle road grime, rain, and even the occasional bug storm. There's nothing magical about the dirt that lands on a motorcycle compared to a car. The only real danger comes from using products with ammonia or bleach, which can dull plastics and cloud clear coats. Stick to a basic pH-neutral cleaner and you're covered. Some shops push branded cleaners as part of a full detail upsell, charging $30 or $40 for a wash you could do at home for less than $2. The marketing tax isn't just about the label. It's about making you believe your bike needs special treatment to justify the price. Dealers know most riders won't question a product with a picture of a sport bike on the front and a promise of nano protection. But if you check the safety sheet or the back of the bottle, you'll see the same surfactants, water, and fragrance found in cheaper alternatives. The real trick is in the application. Use a gentle microfiber mitt, rinse thoroughly, and avoid spraying high-pressure water directly at bearings or electrical connectors. Dry with a clean towel, and you'll get showroom results without the premium markup. Mechanics won't tell you this, but the only thing motorcycle-specific about most cleaners is the price. Next time you're shopping for wash supplies, skip the motorcycle aisle. Your wallet and your bike will be just as happy. Mechanics won't tell you this, but skipping regular tire pressure checks is one of the fastest ways to wear out your tires and waste money. Most riders trust that if a tire looks okay, it's fine, but the truth is, even a few PSI below the recommended level can cut tire life by nearly a third. That's not just a number. Studies show a tire running just 5 PSI low can lose up to 30% of its usable tread life. Over a typical set, that's like throwing away $300 for nothing. Tire pressure isn't something you set and forget. Air seeps out naturally, and temperature swings can shift PSI by several points overnight. The only way to know you're safe is to check with a simple gauge, not your thumb. Digital or pencil-style gauges cost less than a tank of gas and last for years. Always check when the tires are cold, before riding or after the bike's been parked for a few hours. Hot tires give false readings, and that leads to overinflation, which can be just as bad for grip and comfort. Underinflated tires flex more, building heat and wearing the shoulders faster. That means less traction in corners, longer stopping distances, and a higher risk of blowouts. Overinflation, on the other hand, wears out the center tread, reduces the contact patch, and makes the ride harsh. The sweet spot is always what's printed on your swing arm sticker or owner's manual. Never guess and never trust the shop to get it right. Checking once a week takes less than a minute and pays off in both performance and savings. Riders who make this a habit see their tires last longer, handle better, and stay safer on every ride. It's the simplest preventive step you can take, and mechanics know it keeps you out of the shop for premature replacements. So next time you gear up, grab your gauge first. Your wallet and your tires will thank you. Mechanics won't tell you this, but most riders are paying for brake fluid changes twice as often as they need to. Dealers love to push the annual flush, $150 or more every year, when the real science and even your owner's manual say otherwise. Brake fluid is hygroscopic, which means it draws in moisture from the air over time. That's why the fluid eventually turns from clear amber to a cloudy brown. But here's the catch. This process is slow, especially on street bikes with sealed reservoirs and regular use. Honda, Yamaha, and Kawasaki all specify 2-year intervals for fluid changes. BMW says once after the first year, then every 2. These schedules aren't just for show. They're based on how brake fluid actually ages in real-world use. Most riders see less than 1.5% water absorption per year, and the real danger zone is closer to 3% or more. Even then, it takes years for fluid to reach that point under normal conditions. Unless you're riding hard in the rain every weekend or storing your bike in a swamp, your fluid isn't breaking down overnight. The real risk comes when the fluid gets dark or murky, or if your brakes start to feel spongy. That's when you need a change, regardless of the calendar. Most reservoirs are clear, so you can check the color yourself in seconds. If it's still light amber and your brakes feel sharp, you're good. If it's brown or black, swap it out. No need to pay for blind annual changes just because the shop says so. High-performance DOT4 fluids are engineered to resist moisture and maintain boiling point longer than ever. Even in humid climates, most street riders are safe sticking to a 2 or even 3-year cycle. The only exception is if you ride track days or live somewhere with extreme humidity. Then you might want to check more often. But for everyday use, annual flushes are just an upsell. So next time the service writer pushes that yearly brake fluid change, remember, your manual, the chemistry, and your wallet all say otherwise. Trust your eyes and your levers, not the upsell. That's one less secret mechanics want to keep from you, and about $150 back in your pocket every year. Mechanics won't tell you this, but topping off your engine oil is not a shortcut. It's a trap that leaves your engine full of old problems. Here's the truth. Oil isn't just a lubricant. It's your engine's cleaning crew, carrying away metal shavings, carbon, and microscopic grit every time you ride. When you only add oil instead of doing a full change, all those contaminants stay behind, circulating with every startup. Oil analysis labs have found that engines running on topped-up oil show elevated levels of iron, aluminum, and silicon, clear signs that metal wear is building up inside. A quick top-off might seem harmless, but it means the dirtiest oil stays in the sump, and the filter, already loaded with debris, keeps struggling to do its job. Over time, this sludge builds up in oil passages and around critical bearings, quietly grinding away at your engine's lifespan. Every manufacturer, from Honda to Yamaha, recommends full oil and filter changes at set intervals for a reason. It's not just about keeping oil levels up, It's about removing the microscopic metal shavings and acid byproducts that regular riding produces. Topping off does nothing to get rid of these threats. Modern oils are engineered with detergents and dispersants designed to trap and suspend contaminants until the next change. But when you skip the full drain, those additives get used up, and the oil loses its ability to protect. That's when you start seeing varnish, sludge, and premature wear, issues that can turn a simple oil change into a $1,000 repair. Some riders try to stretch intervals by adding a quart here and there, but oil analysis consistently shows higher wear metals and reduced viscosity in engines that go too long between changes. The filter is just as important. After a few thousand miles, it's loaded with the fine grit and particles your engine sheds naturally. Swapping the oil without replacing the filter means those contaminants keep circulating, undoing most of the good a fresh fill provides. Always change both. Your engine is counting on it. So next time you notice the oil level dropping, resist the urge to just top off and ride. A full change and a fresh filter are cheap insurance against expensive repairs. Mechanics won't remind you, but the difference between a smooth-running engine and a worn-out one is what you leave behind in the oil pan. Your bike deserves a clean slate, not just a top-up. Mechanics won't tell you this, but a coolant flush is one of the easiest jobs you can do at home, and doing it yourself can save you over $100 every time. Most shops charge $150 or more for a basic coolant change, but the actual cost of coolant is less than $20. The process is simple. Start with a cold engine, remove the radiator cap, and open the drain bolt or lower hose to let the old coolant out. Have a catch pan ready because the system holds about 2 liters on most bikes. Once it's empty, close the drain and fill the system with distilled water, not tap water. Distilled water prevents mineral buildup that can clog your radiator and corrode aluminum parts. Run the engine for a few minutes to circulate, then drain again. This flush removes old antifreeze, rust, and debris that can cause overheating. After flushing, mix fresh coolant with distilled water to the ratio recommended in your manual, usually 50-50. Pour it in slowly to avoid air pockets, squeezing coolant hoses gently to help bubbles escape. Some bikes have a bleed screw on the thermostat housing. Open it until coolant flows steadily. Top off the radiator and overflow bottle, then run the engine with the cap off until the thermostat opens and the level drops. Add more as needed, then cap it up and check for leaks. Ride for a few miles, let the bike cool, and check the level again. That's it. No special tools, no mystery chemicals, no dealer markup. Most modern coolants last 2 to 4 years, but shops often recommend annual changes to pad the bill. Unless you ride in extreme heat or see brown, cloudy fluid, you can stick to the longer interval. Always use coolant labeled safe for aluminum engines. Never straight water or automotive green coolant unless your manual allows it. The difference is in the additives that prevent corrosion and lubricate the water pump. If you're ever in doubt, a universal premix labeled for motorcycles is a safe bet. Doing your own coolant flush builds confidence for other maintenance jobs and puts real money back in your pocket. Mechanics won't tell you this, but the only thing complicated about cooling systems is the price they charge to service them. With a jug of coolant, a couple of tools, and half an hour, your bike's ready for another season. No shop appointment, no hidden fees. Mechanics won't tell you this, but using more force on a bolt doesn't make your bike safer. In fact, over-tightening drain plugs, caliper bolts, or axle nuts is one of the fastest ways to turn a simple job into a $500 repair. Most motorcycle engines use soft aluminum for the oil pan and case covers, which means the threads are much easier to strip than you'd expect. Once those threads are gone, you're looking at a time-consuming helicoil repair, or worse, a full replacement of the part. Here's the truth. Torque isn't about how strong you are, it's about precision. Every bolt on your motorcycle is designed to clamp just enough to keep things tight, without crushing gaskets or stretching threads. That's why every service manual lists torque values, usually in Newton meters or foot-pounds. For example, a typical oil drain plug only needs 20 to 30 Newton meters, barely more than hand tight plus a gentle nudge with a short wrench. Using a breaker bar or leaning into it like you're tightening a car wheel is a recipe for disaster. If you don't have a torque wrench, you can still avoid damage by learning the feel. Start the bolt by hand, turn until you feel the washer compress, or the bolt seats firmly, then stop. For critical fasteners, invest in an affordable beam or click-style torque wrench. Basic models cost less than a single stripped thread repair. Always check your manual for the correct spec. And remember, dry threads grab tighter than oiled ones. If the manual calls for dry, don't add oil or anti-seize unless specified, as this changes the clamping force and can cause over-tightening even with the right number on the wrench. Stripped threads aren't just expensive, they can cause leaks, brake failure, or even a wheel coming loose. Mechanics see these mistakes all the time, and fixing them is easy money. But with a little patience and the right technique, you'll keep every bolt snug, safe, and ready for the next service. Respect the materials, trust the spec, and your bike will thank you every time. Mechanics won't tell you this, but most motorcycle batteries die years before they should, just because of a simple chemistry problem called sulfation. When your bike sits for days or weeks, the battery's charge drops, and sulfur crystals start building up on the lead plates inside. That buildup blocks electrical flow, making it harder to start and shortening battery life with every cycle. The result? You're back at the shop buying a new battery every 2 years, shelling out $120 to $200 a pop, when you could be getting 4 or 5 years out of the same one. Here's the real secret. A $30 smart charger, often called a battery tender, can double or even triple the life of your battery. These devices work by sensing voltage drops and automatically topping up the charge whenever it dips. That keeps the internal chemistry stable and stops sulfation before it starts. You don't need to keep your battery on a bulky trickle charger all winter. Modern tenders are compact, plug and play, and safe to leave connected for months. Some even have quick disconnect leads you can tuck under your seat for easy access. Most riders think starting the bike every week is enough, but short runs actually make things worse. The alternator needs at least 20 minutes of riding to fully recharge after a start. City trips, quick errands, or letting the bike idle in the garage won't do it. That's why batteries and bikes that sit, especially over winter, fail so often. Mechanics see this all the time and are happy to sell you a new battery, install it, and charge for a diagnostic you didn't need. A battery tender pays for itself the first time you skip a replacement. It takes less than 2 minutes to hook up, and you'll never have to deal with a dead battery on the first sunny ride of spring. If you want to go a step further, check your terminals for corrosion twice a year and snug them up with a simple hand tool. Clean contacts mean every amp gets where it needs to go, and you avoid the weird electrical gremlins that can plague modern bikes. So when a shop tells you your battery is just worn out, ask how often it was kept on a tender. Odds are, that's the real culprit. Mechanics won't tell you this, but a little planning and a $30 tool can save you hundreds, keep your bike reliable, and make those surprise no-start mornings a thing of the past. Mechanics won't tell you this, but most fork seal leaks are just a foul of $5 fix, not the $400 disaster the shop wants you to believe. Here's the real story. About 90% of so-called fork seal leaks are nothing more than a bit of dirt or grit wedged between the seal and the fork tube. That tiny speck is enough to let a thin film of oil escape, making it look like your suspension is ready to blow. But the seal itself? Usually perfectly fine. Shops love to play up the urgency. They'll point to a little oil on the fork leg and warn you about catastrophic suspension failure or brake contamination. The truth? Unless you're seeing oil dripping down the fork or pooling on the caliper, you're probably looking at a minor weep, not a blown seal. Real seal failure is rare on bikes with under 30,000 miles, especially if you keep the fork tubes clean after rides. Here's what mechanics won't mention. You can fix most leaks in minutes with a plastic feeler gauge or a specialized tool called a seal doctor. Slide the tool gently between the seal and the fork tube, sweep it around the circumference, and you'll clear out the dirt that's causing the leak. Wipe away the oil, pump the fork a few times, and 9 times out of 10, the leak is gone. Total cost? $5 for the tool, a few minutes of your time, and 0 shop labor. The math is simple. Fork seal replacement at a dealer runs $300 to $400 once you factor in labor and parts. Cleaning the seal yourself costs less than lunch. Even if you have to repeat the process once or twice, you're still hundreds ahead. And if you ride in dusty or muddy conditions, cleaning should be part of your regular maintenance routine. Just like checking your tire pressure or chain slack, don't let a little oil trick you into an expensive repair. Inspect, clean, and only replace if the leak persists or the seal lip is visibly damaged. Mechanics won't tell you this, but with a $5 tool and a steady hand, you can keep your suspension tight and your wallet thicker. That's the kind of fix they hope you never discover. Mechanics won't tell you this, but skipping a quick wheel bearing check can turn a $20 tube of grease into a $300 hub replacement, if you're lucky. Here's the reality. Most riders never think about wheel bearings until something goes wrong, but failure almost always starts with subtle signs you can catch early. Bearings are designed to keep your wheels spinning smoothly, but water, grit, or just old age can break down the grease inside and cause hidden damage long before you feel anything on the road. The test takes less than a minute. With the bike on a stand, grab the tire at the top and bottom and gently rock it side to side. Any clicking, clunking, or noticeable play means the bearings are worn or dry. Spin the wheel and listen for a rough, gravelly sound. Healthy bearings should be nearly silent. If you hear grinding or feel resistance, it's time to act before the hub and axle get chewed up. A fresh set of bearings and a dab of waterproof grease costs under $20 and can be swapped in an afternoon with basic tools. Ignore the warning signs and you're looking at a seized wheel, ruined hub, or even a roadside breakdown that could have been avoided. Mechanics see failed bearings all the time, and replacing a hub or axle is easy money for the shop. Checking your bearings isn't just about saving cash. It's about keeping your ride safe and predictable. Make it part of your regular maintenance, especially after wet rides or every tire change. Mechanics won't remind you, but a simple wiggle test can keep you out of the shop and on the road. Mechanics won't tell you this, but that first dealer service, usually called the 600-mile or 1,000-kilometer check, is one of the biggest money makers in the business. Most new bike owners are handed a package deal at the time of sale, promising a multi-point inspection, oil change, and a list of vague adjustments for anywhere from $250 to $400. The invoice looks impressive. Inspection of fasteners, chain, cables, fluids, and a test ride. But if you break it down, the only real mechanical work most bikes need at this point is a simple oil and filter change, plus a quick check of chain slack and tire pressure. Jobs you can do at home with basic tools and a half hour of your time. Here's what's really happening. Dealers count on new owners being nervous about warranty coverage and unfamiliar with what's actually required. The first service package is padded with visual inspections, torque checks, and battery tests that take minutes but are billed as premium labor. Most major brands, Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, specify in the owner's manual that the first service is mostly about swapping the brake-in oil and confirming nothing obvious is loose or leaking. There's no need for valve adjustments, coolant swaps, or fancy diagnostics unless you notice a problem. The cost difference is massive. Oil and a filter run about $25. The rest is labor markup and a checklist that rarely finds anything on a modern, properly assembled bike. If you want to keep your warranty intact, just save receipts and jot down the mileage and date for your records. Manufacturers can't require dealer-only service by law. So before you fork over hundreds for the privilege of watching someone check your tire tread, remember, the real secret is that you're paying for peace of mind, not actual mechanical work. Learn the basics, keep good records, and that first big service bill stays in your pocket, not the shop's. Mechanics won't tell you this, but the service intervals printed in your owner's manual aren't as sacred as they look. The truth is, those intervals aren't even the same everywhere. Take Yamaha's MT-07. If you bought it in Europe, the factory schedule says oil changes every 10,000 kilometers or 6,000 miles, and valve checks at 40,000 kilometers. The same bike in the US, oil changes every 4,000 miles, valve checks at 26,600. No mechanical difference, just a different sticker on the swing arm. Honda's CL500 tells a similar story. 12,800 kilometers between services in the States, 12,000 in Europe. Kawasaki's Ninja 400 stretches even further. Australian manuals call for a 6,000 kilometer interval, but the international version says 12,000. Manufacturers don't publish technical reasons for these gaps. There's no difference in metallurgy, oil spec, or riding style that explains why a US bike needs more frequent service than its European twin. The real story is business. Dealers in some regions rely on service revenue to stay afloat, so intervals get chopped. In others, longer intervals help boost sales by lowering the advertised cost of ownership. The same engine, the same parts, but wildly different schedules, all depending on where you bought your bike. Most modern engines, especially from Yamaha, Honda, and Kawasaki, can easily handle the longer intervals found in European manuals. Oil technology, tighter tolerances, and better filtration mean your bike is built for the long haul. Blindly following the shortest interval just lines someone else's pocket. When you see those numbers in your manual, remember, they're not gospel, they're guidelines. Check your riding habits, compare global specs, and don't let anyone convince you that more frequent service is always better. Mechanics won't tell you this, but you're the one in control of your maintenance, not the sticker in your manual. Throughout this documentary, we've shown that a $20 bottle of chain lube can be replaced by $8 gear oil, and that 90% of fork seal leaks are caused by dirt, often fixed with a $5 cleaning tool. Official service manuals, compared side by side, reveal that identical motorcycles have longer recommended maintenance intervals in Europe than in the US, highlighting how many schedules are set by market policy, not engineering need. Yet, some details remain undisclosed. Manufacturers rarely publicize the true basis for their maintenance intervals, and shop markups on branded fluids are still not transparent. The evidence is clear. Simple habits like checking tire pressure weekly can extend tire life by 30%, and a battery tender can double battery lifespan for just $30. These facts show that informed riders can save hundreds each year without sacrificing safety. While not every industry practice is fully explained, the documented savings and debunked myths empower every owner to make smarter, more confident choices. The records confirm, knowledge, not just tools, is the real key to motorcycle maintenance.